Hey everybody, welcome back to Hammock Chats. It's 9:55 p.m. on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025. Current temperature is uh, I don't know, it's not maybe like it's not showing up on here. But it feels like somewhere in the upper 60s, maybe like 67, 68 degrees. So, it's March, so it's not really middle of winter anymore. We had a good run. We had like 3 weeks in January where it was pretty cool, and like a week in February. But yeah, so starting to warm up. We had a couple hot days already. But yeah, it's kind of the lingering air of the Florida winter. But oh man, so many developments. I actually forgot to rewatch the last one to refresh my memory, so I have no idea what even was going on at that time. Oh yeah, I think it's like, yeah, it was when I was just starting to be excited about going to Alabama. So I was supposed to go March 10th. So you probably put two and two together there, right? It's March 11th. I'm still here. Yeah. So basically, some things um, at the window company with Brad. Um, so the Florida office is struggling right now. So we have not had any sales for the last 2 weeks, which is apparently hasn't happened before or hasn't happened in a long time. So Jeremy, the owner, is kind of upset about that and looking for people to blame. And so some of the focus came on me, like, oh, why are we paying this guy to just go with the different reps and just like tag along with them, and why are we paying him to show up to the office early every morning even if there's no interviews, and why are we giving him 3% of the commission for the sales when he doesn't even go to the appointments, and all this stuff. And like everything that they set up is by their, like, I didn't choose any of this. It was all just they made these choices. So, Brad wants me going with the reps to level them up, and which I have. And yeah, he wanted me to go to sales, apparently, and Jeremy was the one to say that I'm better suited for canvassing, which I thought was kind of like the reason I came over there was to be in sales, And so then once I saw that wasn't happening, then Brad quickly, um, you know, uh, mentioned Alabama to keep me. And I said, okay. I was kind of, hesitant at first. And then eventually I came around to it and I said, all right, I'll be the DM in Alabama. And I thought the fact that Brad presented me with that means that it was already approved by Jeremy, which actually, yeah, I distinctly remember he said it was. So I thought, like, okay, cool. So I'm like, right, I'm approved for that. So now the ball's in their court. I'm waiting for them to figure out the details, And so Jeremy texted me that one time, hey, we're gonna have to talk next week about Dothan. You're gonna crush it there, And then that call never happened. And to this day, I haven't had any contact with Jeremy since then. And anytime I reach out to him, he just like doesn't answer or leaves me on red. So, but he talks to Brad every day, and so Brad has to be like the middleman in this thing. I don't understand why, but so that itself is a little suspicious. But yeah, so I forget where I was going with that. Yeah, I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, oh yeah, so I thought that we were good to go, and I was just waiting, and like, I would still like got to work in the meantime, still got to get some money. So this is kind of what we've been doing while we wait for Jeremy to figure it out. It was never supposed to be a long-term solution, like, because it was supposed to be as soon as possible going there. And then I finally got, when I pressed him for a date, he said March 10th, and that was firm. It was like, yep, March 10th, we're launching this. And he kept saying it over and over again, March 10th, March 10th, March 10th. So that's what I had in my mind. So I knew, like, that this thing I have going is, temporary until then. And then as we got closer to that, and then things started kind of falling apart with well, not falling apart, but we went into a dry spell in the office with where we're still getting appointments, but we're just not getting the sales. And I know if I was in sales, man, I could sell them, but whatever. But yeah, so because of that, Jeremy kind of like put Alabama on hold because he's, well, if the company's struggling, then we're not going to expand. So, and I guess like Brad's on the hot seat now, and there's pressure on him, because he's responsible for the team. And so it's just not like anytime I would try to ask Brad for updates, because my lease is up March 16th, so I got to be out of here. So I said, well, I got to know where I'm going to live, because he basically assured me the whole time that I'm not going to have to find somewhere else, that, they would arrange housing for me in Dothan. And they'd pay my first month. So I was like, okay, cool. So that's why I haven't been looking for places around here. And yeah, I even said, oh, wow, that actually works out great, the timing and all that. So, and then once it got to be like March, and there's still nothing from Jeremy and no confirmation, I basically told Brad, like, I'm going somewhere March 16th. So if I'm not going to Alabama, then, and if we don't have a firm date for that, then I kind of just gotta find something else, So, and he seemed to understand that, but he was like, oh, I'm trying my best, and he's like, it's ultimately up to Jeremy, and then he's like, I don't feel like that's an appropriate conversation to have right now because we're struggling, and I'm on the chopping block and everything, so expansion's not really on his mind. So I was like, okay, so you're saying Alabama's not going to happen? And he's like, oh, no, it's like, it's still going to happen, we just, and so, and so eventually, like, by the end of last week, he was like, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen anytime soon. So I'm like, yeah, okay, well, if I can't go to Alabama, I can't go to sales, I'm not just going to be a rep, I'm not just going to be a canvasser, like, I have so many other options. So I talked to Dan, who was Tyson's boss at Trinity. He's the VP of sales. And this was kind of during that uncertain period, maybe like a week and a half ago. And I told him, like, at that time the plan was still to go to Alabama, but I was kind of starting to have doubts about it, so I just wanted to see what my other options were, to see if something would pull me, in one direction or another. And so he told me about the different markets that they're in, and he said that Pennsylvania is the state they're in that makes the most money. He said the average sales guy there makes $350,000 a year, and we know I'm better than average. And they have like 70 people per office there, and everybody's getting high flyers and above, and the commission's more, price per watt is more, the rates are higher, and there's less competition, there's less restrictions, you don't have to worry about the insurance or the roofs or the utility companies or any of that stuff. It's just a lot simpler and quicker and just easier. So that, and Pennsylvania is also the cheapest state to live out of the Northeast, so It's cheaper than New Jersey, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Delaware, Maryland, New York, any of them. And so, yeah, he said really the only catch with that is there's not really much upward mobility. It's almost impossible to get into management because the office is so stacked and so well developed. But the reason that there's so many people there is because of how much money they're making. It keeps them around. So a lot of them have been there for 5 to 8 years, and they're well established. So I'm not just gonna come in there and take over or anything. But he said, he can start me as a solar pro, so I don't have to go through Prime at least. I don't have to go through training again. So I'll just be running appointments and stuff, and so it's pretty cheap to live there, and I can just run it up. And then where they're really looking for leaders is in Massachusetts. And Massachusetts apparently is a little bit harder because there's more competition, and really I think that's it. I think it's just because of competition. But Florida, I'm used to that with Florida because Florida has a lot of competition plus all the other factors. So there's no way Massachusetts can be harder than Florida, and you make more money with it. So I'm still cool with that. But I would rather go to Pennsylvania to start, so that way I have somewhere cheap to live, and I can just cash out. I can just make a bunch of money and make a name for myself, and be on the record books of the company, and then at the height of that, transfer me to Mass and be a manager there, and then I probably won't even be selling in the field as much anyway. So, and then maybe open up a new office, maybe Vermont or New Hampshire or something like that. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the trajectory that appealed to me. And so I was like, I don't know, it's a big decision, is there any way that I can basically like sample it before I commit to it? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna, I'm able to fly you out there so that you can tour PA North, PA South, and PA West are the offices, and they'll pay for my flight and my hotel and my rental car, and and be up there for like 3 days maybe. So I was like, oh, perfect, yeah, let me do that while I'm here, and then by the end of my lease I'll know which direction I'm gonna go. And so so I felt a little better after that, but that also kind of pushed me to kind of lose interest in Windows. Like even if Jeremy all of a sudden reached out and was like, hey, let's go to Alabama, like at this point I just don't really have, it's hard for me to justify when I know what else there is. So all this to say, this is I feel fairly confident in saying this is my last week at Windows. And so so the current plan, because then I was on Dan, I'm like, okay, when am I flying up? And so today finally he said next week. So, and he's gonna let me know tomorrow what day next week. So the thing with that is that's after the 16th, so I'll have to be out of here. And then a thought popped into my head, like, well, wait a minute, I don't have to go somewhere completely new. I can just stay with my mom in Port St. Lucie for a few days, or whatever it's needed as a placeholder. And her house is way bigger than this apartment anyway, so I can bring all my stuff there and whatever. And of course she's she agreed with that. So that way I'm not like, I have a little bit of time. But really the pressure now is just to get everything packed up here and get everything out of here, which has to happen by Sunday. So we're working out, having her maybe come up and help me, and just trying to figure out when she can come up, and how many trips we're gonna have to make. I'm trying to sell furniture too, so yeah. So now we got that coming up. My first move in like 3 years. So And it's like an actual move. It's not just going from one room to another room. But yeah, and then I'm gonna have to move for real when I decide which office I like best, and then try to find housing there. So I'll probably, a few days next, maybe like Tuesday or Wednesday next week, I go up there, come back maybe Friday, Saturday, and then it'll take me at least a few days probably to find like a place to live and actually get it locked in. And so then probably the middle of the following week is when I would actually move up there. I have to drive up because I have my car with me. So yeah. So that's the latest on that. And that's basically where I left it with Brad on Friday, was that the deadline's the 16th. So like I'll give him first dibs if he can pull off sending me to Alabama, but if not, then I gotta do something else. And he, basically agreed with that. But I just want to say I got nothing but love for Brad. He's always been there for me, and he really does do everything he can for me. Ultimately, it's all up to Jeremy. So yeah, Brad's been nothing but supportive and helpful. So that's really the only reason that I stayed, the only reason I came over there in the first place. But yeah. So yeah, and I don't know what direction that's headed. If the office is in a downward trajectory, and then maybe he ends up finding something else. I don't know. But yeah. So that's that situation. So yeah, I have a few. I could have like quit by now and not work this week, but it's really no reason not to. Like I could use the money, even though so I have more money now. In fact, right this second, I have $18,000 in the bank and 0 on my credit cards. So that feels good. That feels good. I've never experienced that in my life before. Prior to this, the most money I've had at one time was like $4,000. And that was when I was in debt too, so I didn't really have it. Well, I'm still in debt. Technically, I owe my mom $45,000 because she paid off the car and put it in my name to help with my credit. So we owed like 20-something thousand on that, and then the rest of it is just money that she loaned me over the years. That it's just kind of pay it back when you can, which I'm grateful for, and wouldn't be where I am without that as well. But I am going to pay her back. So I've been, slowly chiseling away at it. But of course, it's just been a roller coaster ride with me, where like I would make a payment and then I'd have to borrow more from her and get, so. But so now I haven't borrowed anything from her since I think December. So yeah, I'm finally done with that. So now I can just start getting out of debt. But yeah, so I had today my 401k cash out hit my bank account, which I got $14,000 for. Is a little bit. I thought it was a 50% match. Apparently, it was a 20% match. So my gross amount that I had in there was like 18,000. It was like 19,000. And then there's a 20% fee or whatever. Then you got taxes on it taken out and everything. So I ended up netting 13,600, something like that. So that came in today. And then I got my IRS refund. I got 8,000 from that. So yeah, first thing I do is pay off my credit cards because I don't want to have that over me. And my credit score is actually the highest it's ever been now. My credit score is like 7. It's like 7. I think like 730. Which just never. I'm used to it being like in the 5 or 600s. So things really are on the up and up for me, and that'll help too with finding a place, being able to qualify, for housing options and things like that. Definitely helps. And I'm probably gonna need a new car relatively soon because mine's getting up there. I'm at like 85,000 miles and starting to have some issues now. So, I mean, it'll last me a little bit, like at least probably a couple more months. but it's something that I also got to start, thinking about a little bit. So having good credit helps with all of that. But what's even better than having good credit is having cash, because then you don't have to worry about credit. I don't like having payments. I like just paying once and not having to think about it again. But I just haven't been in that. I haven't had that luxury my whole life. But so I'm finally getting a taste of that now. So technically, I'm in debt $45,000. I have $18,000, so it's not really like, I'm not like rich or anything. So, I paid $4,000 to the credit cards, and then I gave her $5,000 so far. And well, with Zelle, you can only do $3,500 a day. So I'm gonna give her $7,000 out of the. I basically split the 401k with her, and I split the tax refund with her. So, just so that I have a little bit of a cushion, especially with times these uncertain. If I have to like put down a down payment on a place or whatever, moving costs, gas, transportation, all that. I want to have, a few thousand as a cushion, so that I don't have to borrow more. So. But yeah, so that's good. And then my paychecks from this, when we were getting sales, I was getting some decent. Well, really only got a few that were like over 1,000. So yeah, I really haven't made that much money the last since I left Trinity. But it's basically I just was doing this as a placeholder until I figured out what I was gonna do next. So. When I remind myself that at the core, that's what it was, it's not really that devastating, But, so. But that's cool, though, that I did make some money over that time, and I wasn't just, depleting any savings that I would have gotten. And I made more than what I would have got if I did unemployment. So that's cool. But yeah, the last couple of weeks I've only been getting like $600-700 because it's just hourly because we're not selling anything. So yeah, I was supposed to get my $200 bonus for referring Diego, but apparently he put in his 2 weeks notice today, and I think even if he does stay the whole 2 weeks, it's not quite 60 days, which is how long he has to be there for me to get my 200. So probably not getting that. And then I also get a $150 bonus when my trainees get 4 demos, which I think I have one now I think he has 3. So if he gets one tomorrow, then I should get that. So I have that at least, but yeah, not an overly impressive amount of money. But one thing that is cool is this 1099, so they don't take taxes out, so that's cool. But yeah, so with Trinity, I'd be going back to W-2. But I'd be going back to having full medical coverage and everything too. Because that's one thing, man, like I didn't have for a little bit. Or I had a new plan going into the new year. So I got my health insurance card and found a primary care physician. Because I haven't been to a doctor in so long, man. Like, since before I moved to Orlando. So, I finally found a doctor and a dentist, and what really drove me to do is a dermatologist, because I'm not sure if I talked about it on here, but basically for like 6 to 8 months, there's been some weird stuff going on with my skin, where it's all like spotty and coarse and stuff. And at first I would just try to ignore it. I thought it was like sunburn or something, and then it just kept getting worse and worse. I'm like, oh, what if it's like skin cancer or something serious? So I wanted to get it checked out. So that's really what pushed me over the line to get, to do something with it. And because I never used my insurance the whole time I had it. And then, so I finally did that on January 2nd. And I made an appointment for, I think, the 15th with the dermatologist. And the other ones, the doctor and the dentist, I wouldn't be able to schedule it until February because of, I guess, you got to wait a month or something. So, and then January 10th, they pulled the plug on that, but they said that they would still honor my insurance until the end of that month, so until the end of January. So I got to go to the dermatologist, and they figured out what was going on. They did a biopsy, and it wasn't anything serious. They said it was like some kind of like sweat related fungus or something that's fairly common, and she prescribed me this cream that I picked up, and basically I just rub it over my skin twice a day as needed, and so I've been doing that since then, and honestly it's like pretty much gone away now, so probably just get one more refill and I'll be good, which works out because if I'm gonna be moving, then so I but yeah, so but yeah, so I never got this. That was the only appointment, that I made, so I never got to do anything else with it. But so I'll have to switch everything, I guess, to Pennsylvania. Probably get a new driver's license, re-register the car, change my address on everything. I didn't want to change my address to Alabama if I was going there because I knew it wasn't going to be long term. So I guess that works out better anyway. But actually, just yesterday, I had my my mailing address switched to my mom's address. Just that, and I'm like, well, if worse comes to worse, like I can just send my mail there, and then she can forward it to wherever I'm at. So, it's better then, because since I don't have a new address yet, and like I got to be out of here in 5 days, I can't have mail coming here after I leave. So that's why, we had to do that as like a placeholder. So I just did that yesterday. I actually came in for the fair, the St. Lucie County Fair, which some of you OG subscribers know how passionate I've been about that. This is actually the first year since I started, since 2013, that I haven't gone all 10 days. Just because, like, it just wasn't, like, I was aware of it, but I just couldn't really justify it. What really pushed me over the edge was that, I didn't want to go by myself, right? And, my dad's doing his thing, with the trailer and all, and my mom was in Jacksonville with my brother. So basically my brother, who, as you know, has been kind of in rough shape for the past couple years, battling cancer, and he's immobilized. So he's been in this special treatment center in Jacksonville, and they don't want to leave him alone. So he's got his fiance who's there with him, but she has to work, so like she still has a part-time job in Port St. Lucie. So she gets her schedule for the month, and she has to do a certain amount of hours per month. So she still has to come down here to work. So whenever she's not working, she's up there with him. So they do a trade-off. So when she has to work, then my mom goes up there to be with him for that amount of time. So, and she tells me the schedule for the month, so I know when she's going to be in Jacksonville and when she's going to be home. So, and then, when she goes up, then my brother's fiance stays at the house. So there's always somebody at the house, and there's always somebody in Jacksonville. So, so she had to be in Jacksonville for the first 7 days of the fair. So, it was pointless to get the mega pass or to request off days to go there, if she couldn't even go, and my dad couldn't go, and my sister doesn't want to go, like, who am I going to go with? So, I was like, I might as well just be working, and at least, at the time I thought Alabama was happening, so I really, wanted to, that was, right before I was supposed to leave, so, I was like, it's an important time for me. But what ended up happening, especially since, I didn't leave on the 10th, so I'm not moving that weekend, I ended up coming in, because she came back on Wednesday night. So the fair is 10 days, right? It starts on Friday, and it goes till the next Sunday. So the Wednesday, which is 60% of the way, Wednesday night, so 60% through, she came back, and I still had to finish out the week because I didn't put in any advance notice. So, we didn't have any advance tickets or anything, but I asked, hey, like I could come in for at least Saturday night and Sunday, and we can go, the last 2 days. And she said, oh, sure. So we did that, and, it was fun. It was cool, a lot of nostalgia, memories, whatever. And, it is kind of, I mean, it gets a little rowdy sometimes with the kids, and line cutting and all that stuff kind of irritates me a little bit. Which, like, you're supposed to go there to have fun, not get upset, So it seems kind of ironic to me, but other than that, it was fine. But yeah, so we did that, and that's cool because we got to see the Demolition Derby, which is my mom's favorite show there, because Saturday we only worked till 3, so I basically had, loaded up my suitcase and everything Saturday morning when I left for the field. So as soon as I clocked out at 3 o'clock, I just went right down there, and I got there at like 5. And so Saturday they were open at midnight, so we got a decent amount of time in there, and then we had all day Sunday. I paid for the tickets. It was $35 for wristbands and $15 for admission. So for both of us, it's $100 per day. So, it's not cheap, but again, I just got all this money, so it's dropping the bucket to me. But yeah, so then, I stayed there on Monday because we work Tuesday through Saturday, unless we have orientation, which we didn't this week. So I stayed there Monday, and then that's when we went to the UPS store to have to present photo ID and everything and get my mail forwarded. And so we did that. And I got to see my dad for a little bit too. We went bowling. And we went to Applebee's. And then I got home. So that was yesterday, because today's Tuesday. So that was all yesterday. And I came back late last night, like 2:30 a.m. And then I had to get up at 8 today, so I didn't get a lot of sleep. But I made it through today, and basically, yeah, this is it. This is my last week, like 95% sure this is my last week. So things are about to change, So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to be doing a lot more cold night chats if I'm up north, because there's a lot more cold nights up there. It's not 80 degrees in February and March. So, it actually is cold every night for like half the year. So that would be interesting. They actually get the seasons. They got snow. Not as much anymore as there used to be, but still, there's some snow. There's no snow here, so that's... And they got mountains and stuff and all, so... Yeah, they got cities and different kind of people. But, yeah. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. So, all the other stuff has just kind of been on hold while I figure out what I'm going to do, what the next chapter of my life is, So I haven't really been doing too much here other than just working and strategizing. So, yeah, well, that was quicker than I expected. I thought I was going to go on for over an hour, but yeah, 33 minutes, and that's really, I'm trying to think of anything else I wanted to say. I mean, that's the important stuff. I've been trying to get off of Kratom, trying to wean myself off of that, because it got a little out of hand there for a little bit. And yeah, I feel I've been pretty successful with that. Yeah, it just seems like if my life is a little bit less stressful, then I won't really feel compelled to take it, So I think it's like all the stress going on, and anxiety from that. I don't really have as much anxiety now. It's more excitement, because I'm just excited to have all this done and behind us. And I have a little more clarity now, so that's good. So I haven't been taking as much. When I went down to Port St. Lucie, I didn't have any. I didn't bring any with me, so I went without completely for 3 days. You know, it's fine. So that's relieving. You know that I'm not like I'm gonna be foaming at the mouth for my next fix. You know, so that's good. And I imagine once I move up north, I can cut it out completely. Because it's a different environment, you know? People aren't as aggressive, it's not as fast paced and stressful and everything, so yeah. But what else? Haven't really had much of a love life because I don't, certainly don't want to get into a relationship right before I move 1,200 miles away. So I've done that. Haven't really gone to like bars or clubs or anything. Yeah. So yeah, I just work and that's about it. Yeah, so that's this update, and who knows where I'll be for the next one? You know, maybe I'll be in Pennsylvania, maybe I'll do one in Port St. Lucie. I don't know, but yeah, keep you posted. But yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for supporting the channel, and yeah, take care, everybody.